Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Tales by John. I'm truly glad that tonight, among all the sounds and movements of the world out there, you've chosen to stop here, in this small, peaceful corner. Perhaps today has been a long day, or maybe you simply want to let your mind drift among the stars instead of forcing yourself to count sheep the way you usually do. Whatever the reason may be, I want you to know this. You are exactly where you're meant to be, a place made to gently hold you, like a soft blanket resting over the last bits of worry still lingering in your mind. Tonight, I'd like to invite you into the story of Cosmology, a journey from the first glimmers of light when time itself was just opening its eyes, all the way to the moment when enormous galaxies bloomed, like slow Mozartian flowers in the void. These are chapters filled with wonder, mystery, and quiet enchantment. Some of the things you're about to hear may surprise you, or simply awaken in you a small, effortless sense of curiosity. And if this gentle trip brings you a bit of peace, you can leave a tiny sign of affection by liking or subscribing. It helps other souls searching for stillness find their way here too. But for now, all you need to do is relax your body, take a deep breath, and let it go. Our journey begins right now. We've talked about galaxies, about the formation of everything familiar around us. But to truly begin, we must travel further back, much further, into a time when the universe had no stars, no planets, not even shapes. There was only light, a sea of light that breathed, and that is where our journey tonight begins. Imagine yourself floating, very lightly, very slowly, through an ocean of light. There is no horizon here, no above or below, no point of reference for you to hold on to, only shimmering softness surrounding you, as if something ancient and warm were carrying you in its hands. In the earliest moments after the Big Bang, when the universe was so young it defies imagination, everything was a molten plasma ocean, glowing so fiercely that darkness did not yet exist to contrast it. Light could not travel freely. It could not choose a direction of its own. It was trapped, tangled, colliding with charged particles packed so densely they moved in pure chaos. And if you listen just a little more deeply, you might imagine hearing the first heartbeat of the universe. A newborn breath, still present even now, quiet as the warmth lingering in a blanket after you've just laid down. Neutrinos, tiny, weightless wanderers, were the first to escape that ocean of fire. They slipped away, gliding through the infant universe like whispers of a good night blessing sent into a darkness that had not even fully formed yet. Light, however, remained imprisoned, held in the arms of that dense plasma, like a child not yet ready to climb out of its cradle. And you are still floating there, not as a distant observer, but as part of that ocean of light. You don't need to imagine anything exact. Just let your mind soften and allow these images to weave themselves into a slow-moving dream. Then one day, after hundreds of thousands of years passed in the way only the universe can count, the ocean of light began to cool, like a cup of hot tea left on a table, first steaming fiercely, then settling, then leaving just a trace of warmth on the rim. This cooling wasn't an ending, but the beginning of order. As the temperature dropped low enough, particles that had been racing wildly began to find one another. Protons met electrons, they embraced and became atoms. And in that moment, like a switch being quietly flipped, light was freed. It rushed outward, spilling in every direction without obstruction. Those rays, those thin waves stretched across more than 10 billion years, are still here. Drifting between the stars, passing through the room you're lying in. Imagine that. The sky around you is filled with ancient light, stretched so much that it has become a faint, cold whisper, but still wrapping the world in its glow, still passing gently through your body this very moment. It is the residue of that first instant when the universe became transparent. If you close your eyes a bit more, you might sense it as a layer of invisible mist, so delicate it feels unreal, yet covering every corner of space. And you are part of that mist, a single droplet in a boundless ocean, never separate, never alone, drifting with the universe's expansion. And as you continue floating through that newborn sea of light that had just earned its freedom, that had made the universe clear for the first time, something else quietly calls for our attention. You might feel it, the way you sense a faint breeze brushing through your room, or the soft wingbeat of a tiny, unseen creature, a very subtle trembling beneath all that light. Light is what you see, but before light there were ripples no one could see. To continue our journey, we'll lean gently toward those very first vibrations. Let your body rest, just as it is, and if you wish, place your hand over your chest, right where your heartbeat taps softly. No need to count, no need to adjust. Just notice this. These tiny, tiny vibrations, so fragile they disappear the moment you lose attention. The universe was the same. It began with tiny beats, not like heartbeats, but quantum fluctuations, impossibly small disturbances. In those first moments, the universe was empty yet filled with ripples. Ripples so small that if the entire universe were the size of your room, each ripple would be no larger than a speck of dust. And yet these ripples became the reason for everything magnificent that followed. During the inflationary epoch, a moment when the universe swelled incomprehensibly fast, those tiny ripples were stretched outward, like small bubbles blown into wide soap spheres. They grew, spreading into faint strokes across space. Not lines, not clear shapes, just regions a bit denser, a bit thinner. The denser patches, if viewed through today's light, appear as slightly warmer spots in the cosmic background. The thinner regions appear as slightly cooler spots. The whole picture looks almost perfectly flat, but never completely. Those tiny wrinkles, those imperfections, became the seeds of every galaxy, every star, every planet, and of us. If the early universe had been more perfect, there might have been nothing at all. No stars, no galaxies, and more. No story tonight. The beauty of the world is built, strangely, from the very first flaws. You can imagine the early universe as a vast blanket stretched across a bed. When you run your hand over it, the surface feels nearly smooth, but not entirely. There are small wrinkles, tiny rises and dips. Time and gravity slowly tugged at those wrinkles. The raised areas became cosmic mountains, places where matter gathered, where stars ignited, where galaxies spun themselves into glowing web. The lower places became cosmic valleys, wide, dark regions where almost nothing exists. Now you can exhale very slowly and imagine the blanket of the universe rising gently with that breath. Then, as you inhale softly, the blanket settles again, its wrinkles preserved, as if an invisible hand had memorized its shape forever. From those wrinkles, from those slight asymmetries, the first stars were born. They shone like the first lanterns in the darkness of the universe. Stars became clusters. Clusters became galaxies. Galaxies became superclusters, each layer a story millions or billions of years long, beginning from the ripples you just breathed with. If you listen a little longer, you may feel that your own body carries those ancient ripples. Every atom in your bones, in your breath, in your heartbeat. Each one began as a quantum fluctuation 13.8 billion years ago. Nothing in your life is separate from those vibrations. You are not an outsider. You are part of the universe's first melody. And this insight has its own soft beauty. There are moments in your life when something trembles. An emotion, a memory, a tiny unspoken thought. It seems insignificant, but sometimes, from those subtle vibrations, you begin a new idea, a new direction, or a new chapter in your life. Just like galaxies forming from ripples no one could see, you don't need to understand everything in this story. You don't need to analyze or remember. Only know this. In a vast universe, the greatest things always begin from what is gentle, tiny, and quiet. So take another breath, deep, slow, and let the next part of the journey drift toward you. As those invisible ripples continue spreading outward, drifting in every direction like the universe's first breaths, you may imagine yourself being lifted gently by that very motion. The tiny vibrations that seeded the first galaxies now begin to link together, like thin threads weaving themselves into a larger story. If you listen carefully in the stillness of your room, you may sense that you're standing before another doorway, a doorway that opens into the true shape of the universe, and we will step through it slowly, as if entering a dream that is unfolding. Let your body rest, loosen, and imagine that you're being lifted upward, higher and higher, until you drift beyond the atmosphere. There is no wind, no sound, only the quiet of space, where everything becomes as light as the breath you just released. Now imagine yourself gliding very slowly, so slowly it feels as though you're not moving at all. Beneath you stretches the faint, glowing threads of galaxies, delicate and slender like city lights seen from an airplane window at night. These strands connect to one another, forming an immense, sprawling web no words can fully describe, yet beautiful enough to make you want to hold on to this moment just a little longer. Then you notice, between those luminous threads, vast stretches of darkness, immense cosmic voids, where there are no galaxies, no stars, no light to cling to, just a space of absolute silence. Like meditation halls that extend without boundary, where not a single sound dares to disturb the peace rising quietly from within. In this moment, the universe resembles a map woven from radiance and emptiness. Galaxies don't exist alone. They cluster in groups and superclusters, connected by glowing strands called filaments, the rivers of galaxies flowing through space. When observed from afar, the whole structure becomes a luminous web spun across the dark, lit by trillions upon trillions of suns. You can imagine yourself standing on one of these bright threads, looking down at millions of stars drifting by like grains of golden dust. Far away, entire superclusters of galaxies, bigger than anything you've ever known, move gently across space. They don't stand still. They're pulled, nudged, guided by vast cosmic currents we call the dark flow, like slow-moving waters in a deep ocean whose bottom no eye can see. Although their names sound mysterious, their motions are soft, delicate, steady. You can imagine them as the slow rhythm of a wide, silent river, where everything drifts without a single splash. Even though these movements unfold across hundreds of millions of light years, they carry a strange and calming serenity, like the universe itself has long chosen quiet paths to follow. If you look closely at the luminous web, you'll see that inside each filament, countless galaxies are spinning, shifting, drifting closer or farther apart. But seen from a distance, all those motions blur into something peaceful, smooth, like a single broad brushstroke across the dark canvas of the sky. The feeling is much like gazing at a city from very high above. All the tiny, frantic motions of people vanish, leaving behind only a soft, steady glow. And now, take a moment to enter a small meditation. A meditation as light as the surface of water touched by a fingertip. Imagine that every thought in your mind is a tiny galaxy on that glowing web. Some thoughts bright, some dark, some quick, some drifting slowly. But more important than any of them is the space between the thoughts. Just like the cosmic voids, that space is where the deepest peace lies. Each time you inhale, Imagine the filaments of your thoughts stretching outward, gently connecting. Each time you exhale, let the quiet space between them open wider. No need to force your mind to empty. No need to struggle for silence. Just let the empty spaces grow on their own, the way cosmic voids continue expanding even now. Your breath is part of that cosmic web. Your body is still, but your mind walks lightly along the shining threads of the universe. And as you float through this cosmic spiderweb, watching galaxies glimmer like tiny grains of light held together by impossible delicacy, you might begin to wonder, what holds all these lights together? What keeps the threads from breaking, the galaxies from drifting apart into eternal isolation? If the universe were an endless fabric, what invisible strands keep it from tearing? That gentle question, like a breeze drifting through your thoughts, leads us into the next chapter, where we begin to see the things that cannot be seen. Let your body lie as still and soft as it wishes to be. Feel the mattress beneath you. You don't see each fiber, each layer of foam, each structure supporting your weight, yet you know they're there. You know they're holding you, patiently, gently, with quiet understanding. That feeling, being lifted by something you cannot see, is exactly what the universe is doing with every galaxy, every star, every trace of light. The universe also has an invisible hand, but one far stronger than anything we know. We call it dark matter, though the name is just a simple attempt to describe something incredibly subtle. Dark matter doesn't glow, doesn't reflect, doesn't breathe in any measurable way. It leaves only its footprints in the architecture of space. Galaxies spin so fast they should fling themselves apart like petals ripped by a fierce wind, but they don't. They stay together, as though some transparent skeleton wraps around them, holding everything in a steady embrace. Imagine that beneath every galaxy lies a great skeleton, flexible, graceful, woven from curves of gravity. You cannot see it, yet remove it and everything falls apart like a sheet slipping off a clothesline. Dark matter is that silent scaffolding, an invisible architecture without which nothing could remain whole. Scientists still don't know what it's made of. Maybe axioms, so light they drift through everything without a whisper. Maybe strange particles no one has ever caught. Some imagine primordial black holes, small as mountains, silent as stone, born when the universe itself was still a seed. But these are just stones we cannot reach. Known only by the whirlpools their gravity leaves behind. And as you imagine this great transparent skeleton spread across the universe, let your mind open a little further, because beside dark matter, there is something stranger still. Something so light it has no form, yet so powerful it changes the way the entire universe breathes. It is called dark energy. Unlike dark matter, which holds things together, dark energy pushes outward. It is a breath of emptiness. Soft, steady, patient, yet strong enough to make the universe expand faster and faster, like the surface of a lake swelling under moonlight. Imagine yourself floating on a still lake. Under your back, water holds you up. That is dark matter. But somewhere in the distance, a faint breeze begins to push the surface outward, widening, stretching, opening more and more space. That is dark energy. Not loud, not forceful, patient, like time itself. Doing only one thing: making room. We know this invisible breeze exists not because we see it, but because we watch how ancient light is stretched, how distant galaxies retreat faster than nearer ones, how the universe expands and expands faster as time passes. It is like hearing the far-off echo of a note, even though we've never seen the musician who played it. Now let your breath fall into rhythm with this expansion, the rhythm of a universe growing wider. Inhale slowly, as though all of space is widening, stretching outward little by little. Exhale softly, and the universe continues expanding, never shrinking back, always opening, as if reminding you that nothing remains truly still. There you lie, small, yet safe, supported beneath by the invisible hand of dark matter, gently rocked by the widening breeze of dark energy. Between these two unseen forces, one holding you, one carrying you forward, you find a balance of your own. A balance that needs no explanation. A balance that simply feels like being cradled by the entire universe. As your breath softens, listen closely. Inside you is a quiet space, still as a lake whose ripples have just faded. In that space, the invisible skeleton of dark matter and the expanding breath of dark energy fade, like friends stepping into the shadows, making room for something else. A soft, curious wonder, like standing before a door that hasn't yet opened. In that gentle stillness, we take one more step and discover the universe isn't only what we see. It is also what waits just beyond the reach of light. Imagine now that you're standing on a balcony at the edge of existence. Not the edge of land or sea, but the edge of what light has time to show you. Before you stretches no mountain, no ocean, only a long, pale horizon, like the universe has drawn its boundary with a thin veil of mist. You can feel a breeze, not the Earth's wind, but the wind of space-time, a wind that doesn't ruffle your hair, but releases your mind even more. This is the cosmic horizon, the limit beyond which light has never reached us. Not because there's nothing out there, but because the universe is too young for that light to arrive. Some galaxies truly exist beyond this edge, but their light is still traveling toward us like tired butterflies, needing hundreds of billions of years more before reaching human eyes. From this balcony, you see only a small part of reality, but it is the part light has managed to tell us about. Now lean gently on the railing of this imagined balcony. Beyond the horizon, no one knows what unfolds. But when scientists examine the universe's ancient background light, the oldest sound in existence, they found something slightly off. A few regions colder than expected, a few swirl patterns, as if someone brushed a hand across the fabric of space. These anomalies carry names that sound both unsettling and poetic. The cold spot, the axis of evil, and they whisper a possibility that sends a soft shiver through both science and imagination. Perhaps, beyond the horizon, there isn't just one universe. Perhaps inflation, the phase when the cosmos expanded faster than the speed of light, produced not one but countless bubbles of space. Each bubble becoming its own universe, swelling quietly in its own solitude. These bubbles do not collide, because each is ruled by its own laws, its own physical constants, its own flow of time, its own strange forms of matter. And you stand here, on this small balcony, gazing into the curtain of space-time, knowing that out there might be an enormous garden where each bubble is a story, a reality, a song of its own woven into the background music of silence. You don't have to understand it all. You don't have to force yourself to imagine every detail. You only need to know that the universe is always wider than what we can see, and that idea alone is already gentle enough to lull a heart that is slowly letting go. Now close your eyes for a moment. Imagine that on the other side of the horizon you're looking at is a garden of soap bubbles. Each bubble floats, slowly turning in an invisible breeze. Each bubble reflects a slightly different color: green, violet, amber, silver, like different versions of reality humming softly. You don't need to touch them. You don't need to know which bubble holds galaxies and which bubble holds only silence. You just stand there and watch them drift by, like watching the dreams of the universe itself passing across your field of view. Your breath slows down. The long muscles along your back loosen a little more. Your heartbeat settles into a steady rhythm, like distant footsteps. And you realize, no matter how many horizons the universe has, how many bubbles, How many stories are stretching outward? You are still right here, in your small room, where sleep is beginning to find you. When you're ready, we'll step into another forest, where black holes are no longer frightening, but simply silent spheres, telling stories through vibrations. As the cosmic bubbles drift away from your sight, light as little soap globes lifted by the wind, you might notice something. After gazing at that whole garden of realities, a part of your mind has become very still, a stillness so deep that you can almost hear it. A silence that isn't quite silence, like when the night is so calm that your ears begin to pick up the sound of your own heartbeat. Right on that fragile border between quiet and vibration, we step into the next part of our journey. Because the universe is not only written in light, it is also written in sounds we cannot hear. So imagine that you are putting on a very special pair of headphones. When you place them over your ears, no sound comes through. No music, no voice, only very slow, very deep pulses, like drums being struck on a mountain thousands of kilometers away. You don't hear them with your ears. You feel them in your chest, along your ribs, in each breath. And then you realize, this is how we hear gravitational waves. Gravitational waves, at their core, are ripples in space-time, created when extremely massive objects, like two black holes, spiral toward each other, twist together and merge into one. Of course, no one hears them with their ears, but in 2015, for the very first time, humans heard them with incredibly sensitive instruments, so precise that a tiny ripple only 1,000th the size of a proton was enough to signal that something enormous and distant had just happened. A tiny thump, echoing across 1.3 billion years of history. And when we heard that sound for the first time, we also understood for the first time that black holes do not only swallow light, they also leave torn vibrations in the fabric of the universe, like the footprints of giants walking through the night. Now, let me tell you about these black holes, not in the dry voice of science, but in the tone of someone quietly talking to the darkness beside you. After landing Planetoso, a black hole begins with the death of a massive star. When its fuel runs out and gravity is no longer balanced by heat, the star contracts, collapses, and is squeezed so tightly that nothing can escape, not even light. That core becomes a stellar mass black hole. There are black holes much larger, so huge they contain millions or billions of times the mass of the Sun, lying at the centers of galaxies, including our own Milky Way. We call them supermassive black holes, like ancient tree trunks in the galactic forest, standing still and silent for billions of years. And then there is a stranger idea. Primordial black holes, possibly born right after the Big Bang, from regions of unusually high density, so small they might be no bigger than a grain of dust, yet so heavy it's hard to imagine. They may be drifting somewhere around us even now, silent like raindrops that never reach the ground. But perhaps the strangest thing of all is what Stephen Hawking once said. Black holes are not absolutely eternal. They leak Hawking radiation. So slowly, so unimaginably slowly, but that means they evaporate over time, gradually dissolving into nothingness. If the universe becomes old enough, every black hole will eventually go dark, like the very last candle in an endless room. And what astonishes us even more is this. Although they destroy everything that falls in, black holes still store information on their surfaces. As if every photon, every atom that has ever crossed the boundary leaves behind a tiny dot, a tiny mark, written onto the skin of the black hole. This leads us to an idea that feels almost like poetry. Perhaps the entire universe we live in is just a 3D projection, arising from some 2D surface. An embossed image, like raised embroidery on a flat piece of cloth. Now, so these ideas don't become a burden, let's imagine something together. You are walking into a strange forest, but instead of trees, the forest is made up of dark floating spheres. They don't shine, yet on their surfaces, tiny characters, like ancient letters, glow faintly. You can't read them, but you sense that each symbol is a story, a memory, a line of information that the universe has recorded. As you inhale, the forest seems to draw together by one small beat. As you exhale, the dark spheres expand, sending out invisible rings like ripples spreading across a pond. Everything is quiet. No birds, no wind. Only deep, very deep vibrations, like the breath of the universe itself brushing against you. And as you stand in the middle of that forest, breathing slowly, you begin to realize something. The universe is not only seen with the eyes, it is also felt through the stillness of your own soul. All right then. When you step out of the forests of dark spheres, where the deepest vibrations spread out like invisible circles, you may notice something very strange. Your own breathing has slowed down. Your heartbeat is gentler, no longer rushing like it did when you first began this journey. As though, by listening to the universe's whispered heartbeat, your sense of time has changed. And in that very moment, when everything around you slows down and softens, we begin to drift into another story, the story of soft time. Notice this: each time you draw in a deep breath and exhale slowly, you feel time stretching a little. 1 minute suddenly feels as long as 2. A single second seems to pause somewhere between your chest and your throat before dissolving into the air. Time, something we always thought was solid, rigid, turns out to be much softer than we imagined. In the universe, time does not flow evenly like the clock on your bedside table. It bends, stretches, and is pulled thin near massive objects or at very high speeds. What happens around a black hole is not the same as what happens under the gentle sunlight of Earth. You can imagine that each place in the universe has its own stream of time, flowing at its own pace, sometimes merging with others, sometimes branching into separate channels. And when you look up at the night sky, you are actually looking into the past. The star you see right now may have gone out long ago. The galaxy you admire may have changed shape billions of years before this moment. The sky is a mosaic of countless slices of time, each point of light belonging to a different moment in the universe's history. But there is something even more wondrous than that. In tiny patches of reality, there are particles that always know about each other, even when separated by entire galaxies. This is entanglement, a mysterious interweaving that turns two particles into an invisible pair of twins. When one changes, the other notices instantly, no matter how far apart they are. Some people say this feels like magic, but others believe it reveals something deeper. Perhaps space-time is not the ultimate foundation. Perhaps everything in the universe, from black holes to time, from light to space, is woven from an even deeper network of information, like a beautiful carpet where we only see the surface patterns while the threads underneath remain invisible to us. And when we go even further back, beyond stars, beyond galaxies, beyond the history of light, we reach what science calls the Planck era, a moment so small, so hot, so strange, that all our current theories fall silent. Like a pristine white page no one has written on, a page that the universe itself seems to have kept for its own secrets. Now, so that all of this doesn't become heavy, let me invite you back to a very simple, very gentle image. Imagine the universe as a vast piece of fabric, soft as silk, woven from invisible strands of light. Each strand connects two faraway points, just as entanglement links two particles. This fabric stretches everywhere, under you, above you, all around you. Now feel this. You are lying on that very fabric. It supports your back, cradles your shoulders, holds you in place amid infinite vastness. Every time you inhale, the fabric lifts slightly, gentle as a wave. Every time you exhale, it settles again, leaving behind a sense of safety and steadiness. No point is torn, no thread is missing. Everything is held by connections you cannot see, but which are always there. And right now, as you relax just a little more, allow yourself to feel this truth. You are not drifting lost in the universe. On the contrary, you are being supported by the very fabric of reality itself, of information, of the deep, quiet interconnectedness of everything that has ever existed. There, between the slow rhythm of your breathing and the breath of the universe, everything suddenly becomes very soft. And as you lie still on that fabric woven from invisible strands of light, there may come a very small, very quiet moment when you find yourself asking, will this fabric keep on trembling like this forever? Does the universe ever get tired? Does it ever stop? That question comes and goes, light as a breeze. But we can spend just a little time gazing at the distant possibilities scientists have drawn, not to worry, but to see that even an ending can be beautiful in a strangely gentle way. Let your breath slow down just a little more, and together, we will softly turn the last pages of the book of the cosmos. There are different scenarios for the future of this vast universe, and all of them unfold on timescales so immense that they can never touch any human worry. The longest day of your life is still only a tiny spark in the endless span of cosmic time. Imagine a winter evening when the last warmth in the room slowly fades away. The universe may become something like that, but on a scale beyond anything we can picture. When every star has burned through its fuel, when useful energy has thinned out, when every motion has gradually slowed, the universe enters a phase of absolute stillness. Not hot, not cold in any way we can truly sense, just a peace stretched out to infinity. That is heat death, the universe sinking into a dreamless sleep, as soft as the final exhale of a fireplace going out. If dark energy, the invisible wind pushing the universe to expand, grows stronger over time, it might stretch everything so much that space-time itself is torn apart. First, galaxies drift away from one another, then stars, then even the tiniest atoms. But remember, if this scenario ever happens, it will unfold so slowly that you could sleep through trillions upon trillions of nights and still never see the difference. It is like imagining a distant wind blowing at the very edge of time. Maybe the universe does not die. Maybe it simply inhales and exhales. Some models suggest that after expanding to a certain point, the universe could begin to contract. Galaxies would collide, space would shrink, light would be squeezed tighter and tighter, until everything collapses back into a small, brilliant point, much like the beginning. Then from that point, a new explosion could happen. The universe bounces and a new chapter begins. If that is true, then perhaps we are only living through one very small heartbeat in the endless heart of the cosmos. There is another possibility, very theoretical, very far away from us, that the vacuum we live in is not the most stable state of reality. There may exist a lower energy level, a new state that, if the universe were to fall into it, would change every law of physics in a wave spreading at the speed of light. But if that were to happen, it would happen so quickly that no one would even know. No pain, no chaos, just as if the pages of the cosmic book were flipped to a new chapter, in a single, silent motion. Even though these grand endings are so dramatic they can make imagination tremble, they are really just pictures drawn for us to contemplate, not to fear. They remind us that the universe is impermanent, but that impermanence unfolds on timescales that will never touch the small and gentle life you are living. And now, here in this softly darkened room, held by the warmth of a blanket around you, with your breath slowing down, Little by little, the only thing that truly matters is this present moment. You are lying there, at peace, supported by the earth, wrapped in the fabric of space-time itself. There is nothing to hurry for, nothing more to figure out. You only need to let yourself drift, as if you, too, are a story slowly closing, to open into a new sleep. And as we close the pages that speak of the universe's endings, you may notice that, within that infinity, human worries are incredibly small, light as stardust. From those distant visions of the future, we return to the slow rhythm of your own breath. Like a traveler who, after a long journey, wants nothing more than to sit down by a small lamp and listen to the next story. A story that, so gently, turns out to be you. Because when we think about eternity, we do not feel more lost. We feel more connected, more belonging. And that is when tonight's journey enters its final chapter, the chapter for your eyes that are slowly closing. Tonight, we have walked backward through time to when the universe was still a primordial sea of light, listened to tiny ripples becoming structure, watched galaxies weave themselves into delicate networks, and felt dark matter cradling everything like a transparent skeleton. We have quietly listened to the expanding breeze of dark energy, looked out over the garden of multiverse bubbles, stepped through the silent forest of black holes, glided across the fabric woven from entanglement, and finally touched the possible endings the universe might one day choose for itself. All of this, no matter how vast, so vast that even our finest instruments can barely graze it, is still just a set of chapters in one single cosmic book. A book to which, in a humble yet miraculous way, you are also adding a page. Now let that story gently shrink down, no longer at the scale of galaxies or cosmic horizons, but resting entirely within your own breathing. Breathe in, very slowly. Breathe out, very softly. Your breath is the small but honest echo of the universe's history, because every atom in your body, carbon, oxygen, iron, calcium, was forged in the burning hearts of stars that died long ago. Far, far away. Those stars exploded, flinging their matter into space, and only billions of years later did that matter return in new forms. As Earth, as oceans, as leaves, and finally, as you. You are not just inside the universe. You are a very real piece of the universe. You are proof that the cosmos can tell stories in light, in dust, in time, and also in the shape of a living being. And if that is so, you can allow yourself to release every question back into the universe, like letting a small leaf fall gently onto the surface of a lake. No need to search for answers. No need to understand everything. Just know that the universe's story is long, very long, and tonight, you are allowed to pause, close your eyes, and let the universe continue that story on its own, in silence. Imagine that as you slowly drift into sleep, the universe is still expanding, galaxies are still moving, particles of light are still traveling, stars are still breathing, and your sleep, light, calm, and deep, is also a natural part of that rhythm. Now then, let your eyes close completely. Let your body soften as if it were melting into the warm blankets. Let your breath become steady and deep, like small waves quietly touching the shore. There is nothing left to think about, nothing left to keep yourself awake for. Only this simple knowing: the universe is vast, and so are you. Wishing you a deep night, a peaceful sleep, and a gentle journey inward, where the universe continues telling its stories, just for you. Sleep well.